Hello students. In our lecture series of computer networks, today we will learn about data compression. In this lecture, we will learn about why we need data compression, what are the methods of data compression, lossless compression methods, and lossy compression method. So the first thing, why we need data compression. Now the first point is to make optimal use of limited storage space. Whenever we are having a less of storage space, we all know that the amount, how much storage space we can provision, that is always limited. So to stuff a lot of data into a small storage space, we need data compression. In addition to that, whenever we are having a data to be sent from one point to another, one node to another in a computer network, again we are having a less space. Less space in what terms? In terms of bandwidth. So if we have to optimize our resource and we have to take much better options, take much better output from the same bandwidth, what we need? We need to compress our data. Whatever type of a huge data we are having, for example, we could be having some large text, we could be having a large image, we could be having a large file, we could be having a large movie, a video file. So if we are not compressing it in a better way, then we will be wasting a lot of storage, plus we will be wasting a lot of bandwidth. So to reduce the bandwidth and or the time required to transfer it across the communication channel, we need data compression. So what are the methods? What are the methods used for compressing a data to making it small? So the data compression is about storing and sending a smaller number of bits. There are two major categories for compressing a data. First one is a lossless method and the second one is a lossy method. Now let's learn about what are they. First one, that is a lossless method. What is it? In a lossless method, original data and the data after compression and decompression are exactly the same. There is not even a bit difference. Redundant data is removed in compression and added during the decompression. The lossless method is used when we cannot afford to lose any data. What kind of a situation it could be? It could be a legal, it could be medical, or it could be a computer program itself. Any such place we cannot even afford to lose even a single bit. Because if in a legal evidence we lost a single bit, then the hash value will change and that particular data or that particular image, whichever we have taken, won't be admissible in the court of law. Now, let's learn about certain lossless compression. First one is a run length encoding. What is a run length encoding? It is one of the simplest method of compression. What we do out here, we replace consecutive repeating occurrence of a symbol by one occurrence, then followed by the number of occurrence. That is, for example, if we see this example, the B is repeated 9 times. So in the compressed data, what we have done, we have written a single B and followed it by the number of occurrence, that is 9, 0, 9. Second, we are having A, which is being repeated 16 number of times. So what we did, we written A simply and written 16 in front of it. Now whenever we will be decompressing the image, what will happen? It will simply write B 9 times, A 16 times, N once, and M 10 times, and there is no loss of any particular single bit. It is the easiest form of lossless compression. Another one, you must have learned it into your data structure classes, that is a Hoffman coding. What does the Hoffman coding does? It assigns fewer bits to the symbols that occur more frequently and more bits to the symbols that occur less frequently. It codes the different things. Now there is no unique Hoffman code. For every Hoffman code has the same average code length. Now what is the algorithm? I'm just going through. You already know it. You have already learned it into your data structure classes, and we will be doing it into the lecture. What we have to do in the first step, make the leaf node of the each code symbol. Take the two leaf nodes with the smallest probability and connect them into a new code. If there is only one node left, the code construction is complete. If not, go back to step number 2 and repeat it till we are left with a single node. So by using it, we easily form a similar size, approx similar size of a compressed codes with whatever size of a data is given. Now the second method is a lossy compression. Now what do you mean by a lossy compression? Till now we were focused on to the lossless compression, which are mostly there in documents, text, data, which is legal, which is medical, which is something to do with money, finance. Now if we are talking about just images, we are talking about movie files, we are talking about MP3 files or audio files. Now out here, even if we lose certain bits, it doesn't make a lot of difference. Just there is a problem with the quality. There won't be any legal issue out of there. So we can use a lossy compression. Now what is it? It is used for compressing images and video files. Our eyes cannot distinguish the minute changes that are there that are caused by the lossy compression. These methods are cheaper, less time and space consuming. Now there are several methods which are used for the same. Let's go with certain ones. For example, if we want to compress a JPEG image, what we can do? We can use to compress the pictures and graphics. In JPEG image, a grayscale picture is divided into 8 cross 8 blocks that are pixel blocks to decrease the number of calculations. Basic idea behind this is to change the picture into a linear set of numbers that reveal the redundancies. What we have done? We have converted the complete picture into numbers. That is, we have done quantization. Once we have done quantization, remember we have already done the lossless compression. So we can easily remove the redundancies if we are having something in the form of numerical data. So by using any of the lossless compression techniques, we can easily remove what we are having, the redundancy from the particular data. Now this thing is known as one particular method, that is a three-phase JPEG encoding that is used to compress the JPEG image. Now, what is quantization? After the T table is created, the values are quantized to reduce the number of bits needed for encoding. Quantization divides the number of bits by a constant, then drops the function. Whatever is the decimal parts, whatever are the fractional parts, they are dropped. This is done to optimize the number of bits and the number of zeros for each particular application. What is compression then? Quantized values are read by a table and the redundant zeros are removed. To cluster the zeros together, the table reads diagonally in a zigzag fashion. The reason is if the table doesn't have a fine changes, the bottom right corner of the table has got all the zeros. JPEG usually uses lossless run length encoding at the compression phase that we have already done, the run length encoding. Now what about the MPEG encoding and how it is different from JPEG? Now the first method of MPEG encoding is the spatial method. In this method, what we do, we divide the complete MPEG video into different JPEG images, different frames, and each frame is compressed using JPEG encoding. That is one method. So it takes a lot of time. The second method is the temporal compression. What is a temporal compression? What we do, we remove the redundant frames in the complete MPGAV video. How we remove them? For example, in a static scene in which someone is talking, mostly the frames are the same except the segment about the speaker's lips, which changes from one frame to the next. So if the complete frame is mostly still, we can neglect it or we can skip it. Just the lips are moving, nobody will notice the lips movement. We can remove the redundant frames. And once we have removed those redundant frames, we can use the spatial compression that was above one to compress the complete the left about frames using the JPEG encoding. Now that is how we use the data compression methods to reduce and optimize the space or the bandwidth that is used by the large files. For example, a video file, an image file, an audio file, or even some kind of a text file. So I hope you understood the things. We have used certain references that you can refer for further reading. Thank you guys.